I want to call our country what it has become: a nation of pre-compliance. You guys have heard me say this term before because it is becoming more of a norm than I ever thought it would. We like to think that authoritarianism kicks in with boots on the ground. But here, it seems that every institution, government, business, law enforcement, the military, and even big tech companies have already bent the knee, in most cases complying before they're even asked to do something. And now the demand out in the open: adopt our agenda or resign. We can start with government. Our lawmakers, who I think a lot of people thought would serve as checks and balances of power, instead of watering down bills, muting oversight, and recusing themselves to avoid confrontation. Our courts sidestep the hardest questions and somehow do not defend the Constitution, but find a way to, once again, pre-comply to make room for themselves. They anticipate the strong man's anger, so they pre-comply to not have to deal with his wrath. Corporate America, it seems, does the same. They sponsor both sides, self-censor, rebrand to match whoever holds the White House, I guess. The NFL has been to Trump, blackballed Colin Kaepernick, and later lined up to honor Charlie Kirk. ESPN turned kneeling for justice into a debate, while Donald Trump called black athletes sons of, I'm sure you guys remember. That was treated like just another opinion. Once again, not resistance, survival instinct, profit over principle, always. Law enforcement bent the knee early too. Police unions don't just tolerate authoritarian rhetoric, they embrace it. In some cases, they adopt it. Sheriffs and officers posed in MAGA hats. Entire agencies acting as if their loyalty was to one man, again, not to the Constitution. The result? A base convinced law enforcement was the president's private army. And it seems in a lot of cases that they might be. That is not accountability. This is what Rams and I call allegiance. Now, the military, long seen as apolitical, is being told point blank, adopt our agenda or resign. Senior officers being pressured on lethality standards, not tied to strategy, but to politics. That's not guidance, it's coercion. Just take a second to think about what that means. If generals have to choose between compliance and resignation, then there is now no such thing as neutrality. The military stops being the protectors of our Constitution and starts being an instrument of ideology. That's not just dangerous, it's the slow, out in the open death of democracy. This pre-compliance has now run in a sprint straight into Silicon Valley. As we mentioned, YouTube, after suspending Trump post-January 6th, did not even fight for their own principles. They just cut a check. $24.5 million to settle a lawsuit where they admitted no wrongdoing. No policy changes, just a payout to Trump so he can claim victory and YouTube can quietly get out of the way of his wrath. Once again, no accountability, just a hush deal where the capitalists win again. And it sends a signal to every platform. If power pushes you, don't resist, settle, bend the knee, and comply. You see the pattern? Government pre-compliance, business pre-compliance, law enforcement pre-complies, the military pre-complies, tech pre-complies. We're watching authoritarianism grow, not by force, but by institutions choosing obedience before resistance. So, as Ramses would say, the clapback. America is being trained to kneel before it's even commanded to do so. A president doesn't have to seize power if every institution hands it to him first. From courtrooms to boardrooms, from NFL stadiums to Silicon Valley boardroom tables, from police unions to Pentagon halls, pre-compliance is the new national anthem. And if we don't demand resistance before the ask, there won't be anything left to resist after.